And just like that, Jason Momoa killed the Aquaman is lame joke. Rest in peace. You were never that funny to begin with. It's laser time and we're gonna do a review. Yes, we're gonna review. We'll talk about movies and comics too. Let's all go watch the review. Yeah. Hello everyone, how's it going? I am Lazy Dude and welcome to another Lazy Dude review. This time we're finally getting to take a look at Aquaman. Holy shoot. So, Aquaman has always been a character that, while some people have been fans of, has never really been that much of a beloved character. You know, it's one of those characters where it's like he's been around forever, so you kind of have to keep him in. But of course, the longer a character sticks around, the longer his history it has, and the more of a mythos he has. And he's always been one of the DC's mainstay characters, even if he's never been the most popular. And yet, in DC's time of need, where they're struggling a bit, this is just the movie that they needed to get back on track. The story of Aquaman follows Jason Momoa as the child of a lighthouse keeper and an Atlantean queen, and how he was destined to bring the two worlds of land and ocean together one day, and how he's never really been comfortable with that, never really liked that, and kind of resents the Atlantean people. But in Atlantis, his half-brother Orm has started to gather all the other kingdoms of the deep and putting an army together to attack the surface world. An Atlantean woman known as Mira comes up to the surface to grab Arthur to bring him back down and to have him take over as the new king of Atlantis. Okay, here's the thing. People are really going all out over the Aquaman movie. And in some ways rightfully so, and in some ways not so. I want to get out of the way that I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. But there are some things I think we might be... It's like when you're starved for so long, and then you get a meal that's semi-decent, it tastes like the greatest thing ever. I really kind of think that's what we've been doing with this movie. Because for the cons of the movie, I think the story is a little bit straightforward. You know, we got a little bit of a straightforward plot, a little bit of a, I can see where this is going, I can see how this is going to end up. I can see, he doesn't like her and she doesn't like him, but then they grow to like each other, go for the kiss at the end. The villain is someone who doesn't understand the surface world and is very much against humans and doesn't like that he has a half-brother and stuff. Very typical. And all that stuff is very true of the movie. On the other side, though, the effects are really good. I mean, underwater has always been a world that bores me. Unless it's Finding Nemo or anything like that. I find it boring because it's always slower, you can't see things as clearly. It's just not an interesting world for me to look at, but here they really make it something that I want to look at and want to see and to be interested in. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they got good actors. Everyone, with the exception of maybe Orm, and William Dafoe's character is a little bit more by the book as well. Those two characters of the Ocean Master, I should say, not Orm. Those two characters are basically by the book. But to fairness to the movie, Ocean Master was always that type of character. The only thing I've ever read with Ocean Master that I saw him more of just a typical villain was in Jeff Johns' Throne at Atlantis. That story, they had him that he was actually happy that Arthur was, about Arthur. He was so ecstatic that he had a brother out there, and he was so sad that he was stuck up on the surface world. He was still biased and, I guess, racist to the surface world, but he wasn't a monster that just wanted to kill everyone. In fact, spoilers for Throne of Atlantis, in the book, what I thought was a really good twist is that it was really, all this division and everything was caused by Vulko, the character played by William Dafoe. Hopefully I'm not spoiling anything for the sequel, but I don't think they're going this route. But in the book, Vulko was manipulating everyone into doing this big war thing so Aquaman would take the throne because he views him as a more as a more noble leader, and the only way he would do that if he forced Orm into conflict with him. And it really made a really interesting thing, because then Orm surrenders and he's like, fine, alright, I'll take whatever punishment you have to give me, brother. He's like, well, you're going to have to be punished here on Earth. Or in the surface world. He's like, what? No, take me back. Put me in prison in Atlantis. He's like, no, you attack the surface world, therefore you're bound to their laws and what their rules are, and you have to answer for it. And that really drove the wedge completely against them. But you can see this scenario. I like that. But in this, he's a little bit more, oh, my mother's bestirred and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, I don't like it. Like, they try to have a few scenes like that. It's like, you know, I am kind of happy to see you and meet you. But it's really typical of man who controls an army yelling at hologram screen or whatever. But they make up for that by handling Black Manta very well. Because Black Manta, while he is working for Ocean Master in this, he's really doing it to serve his own needs. You know, he's not loyal to Ocean Master. He doesn't have allegiance to Ocean Master. He's like, oh, you're going to supply me with the weapons I need to kill Aquaman? Oh, heck yeah, I'm getting in on this. And I like how they make his character. Like, Ocean Master shows up, gives them his like, oh, you can't take down Aquaman without Atlantean weapons, so here's some Atlantean weapons. And, you know, I'm thinking, like, okay, he'll just, you know, add this to his suit. What does he do? He takes it all apart, scans it all, gets a big reading on it, and changes all the weapons so they fit his suit. And that I really thought was really interesting and really fun, because it's like, no, here's your weapons in your style. I'm going to take your weapons, but I'm going to make them in my style that will fit my combat style. And they make the character of Black Manta very sympathetic and very relatable, and I think also very menacing and very much a threat. And now I want to get to Aquaman and Mera, because these are the characters that I was on and off on a lot in the movie. Like when she shows up to him and says, "I need you to take on King Orm," he's like, "Nah, I don't want to do that." I was like, "Oh, come on, just do it already. We know you're gonna. Just do it already, you know?" Let's just say I really liked Wonder Woman because she didn't do the right thing because so-and-so killed her father or mother or attacked her. She just did the right thing because it was the right thing. And I wanted more of that. And he doesn't really get that. He's motivated by other stuff, like a big wave crashes into his hometown. And so he's like, okay, I got to stop this before it gets even more out of control. But it would have been, I would have felt good if he did it before it got to that point, you know. But that's just something I want to see more and more in my superhero movies. But it doesn't last for too long. He's not skulking around saying, "No, I don't want to get involved," and get dragged in. Jason Momoa does a great job with the character. You know, he's actually very charming, very charismatic. I like him. He's a lot of fun. When he says a funny line, I laugh at the funny line. When he says stuff that he needs to be serious, I buy him being serious. I think the writing was a little bit quick. Like, his whole thing is he doesn't want to be king because he doesn't feel like he belongs. You know, he doesn't. His whole character arc is him not feeling like he fully belongs on the surface and not feeling he fully belongs in the deeps of Atlantis, and he not knowing where on Earth he actually belongs. But I don't think they really hit that home enough. Like, I would have. This is my personal thing. I would have liked it if he said to help, but I'll help, but I'm not going to be king. And then really dived into the why he doesn't want to be king and stuff like that. But we get a little bit, not as enough for me to be satisfactory over it. This movie is such a mixed bag for me. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but there's other stuff that I wish they could have pushed forward a little bit more. But that's the thing. It's like, my complaints aren't really stuff that's wrong per se. They're just stuff that I wish they could have improved a little bit more. Nothing's terrible. Like, do I wish that Orm could have been a more sympathetic and more relatable villain? Heck yeah. Is he a terrible villain? No, not really. There is one kind of problem I have, and I'll get to that in the end. The spoilers part of the review. Do I wish that I had more clear motivation on how Mera got to the way she was and why Aquaman didn't want to be king? Yeah, I wish I got more of stuff like that. Is the stuff we got bad? No, not really. It's just not as amazing as it could have been. I think the thing that I take away from this movie is the fact that It has really good effects, and it has good actors in their characters, and it has a few cliched elements to it, but overall, those don't bother the enjoyment of the film. And I must say, the effects were really good. I was surprised how well done they were, considering. I mean, like, they were DC movies so far. You know, the computer animation has been either not that great or just more low key, like Wonder Woman. Like, there was CGI stuff in it, but that wasn't like the focus of the film was its most impactful when it was just like her versus soldiers. When it got into the big weird CGI stuff, it didn't really work as well. But I think this is overall a good step forward for Aquaman, or a good swim forward, whatever you want to say, for DC in general, not just Aquaman. I think this is a good step forward for them to say, okay, maybe we can start making some ground here. I don't know what they're going to do. You know, with whole Ben Affleck not being Batman anymore and Henry Cavill not being Superman anymore, I think what they should do is do Flashpoint and get your new Superman and new Batman in there and just make the excuse that Flashpoint changed everything slightly, but that nobody else in the universe knows. It's a perfect, easy thing to do. Because you keep the stuff we like, Wonder Woman, you know, Aquaman, even the Flash. I like the Flash in Justice League. You keep the stuff we like, and then we just change the stuff that hasn't been working as well. I think that's easy enough. But let's give this movie a rating before we keep on talking about other stuff. I'm going to give Aquaman a 7 out of 10. There wasn't anything in this movie that I thought was utterly stupid. There was some things that I thought maybe little problems, but there's nothing that I thought, oh, that's just stupid. The effects were good. The world building of all the Atlantean worlds were really good. And I think that overall this is definitely a big thumbs up for me. So this is now my spoiler warning. If you want to, if you haven't seen this movie, then go away. But if you have, keep on watching. So the best scene in the movie, hands down, has to be with the Reach. Because heck yeah, that was like, oh, like that made you feel so uncomfortable, did it? Just like, they're still going, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. How are there so much? It was really strange, but it was really good. I really loved that. The only complaint I have is, like, why is the Reach, like, going up to the surface? Like, the whole purpose of the Reach in the comic book, where they came, and here they made it as, like, they were a type of, like, semi-Atlantean people that degressed. I don't know if that's what they were in the original comic book, but either way, I think they might have actually, though I'm thinking about it. Yeah, maybe they were. But either way, they came all the way up to the surface and attacked their boats. It's like, yeah, but if they did that with every boat that went over their home, I mean, there's no way you could keep that hidden. They have to be in the depths of the ocean for this not to be seen, sort of thing. But that was just nitpicky. Like, maybe they could have had a line that they get attracted to Atlantean blood or something like that. That could have been something. But either way, that entire sequence was just amazing. The only thing that I kind of had a complaint against was at the end of the movie, I'm like, Aquaman is too powerful. Which is kind of funny because people always make jokes of how worthless he is. But at that final fight sequence, I'm like, okay, guys, he's too powerful. That scepter gave him control of the giant monster that was guarding it. Okay, that makes him super powerful. But then once he has control of the Reach as well, I'm just like, well, what's Black Manta gonna do in the next film? I don't get what he can do. I mean, it's just like there's so much things that he was controlling over, like all the guys' all the other fishes and whatnot. All their sharks and seahorses and whatever, he was controlling everything. It's just like, well, the advantage is obviously now on Aquaman's side. And then when you said, like, fight him in your element, not his, I'm like, yeah, but there's nothing he did to force Orm there, you know? He didn't do anything to force Orm to the surface, and now you have to go to the surface. If he'd, like, forced him to the surface and surrounded the whole thing with Reach, and he's like, now you gotta fight me here or else you're gonna die. That would have been a nice thing. But, it was just like, why didn't Norm just jump back into the water and continue the fight there? I mean, there was nothing stopping him from doing that. And there was a little bit of... The only thing that changed between the first fight when he challenged him and the last fight is he had a better scepter. You know, a better trident, I should say. That's the only thing that really felt like that was that much different. I mean, because I said I didn't feel like his mindset had changed all that much. It was just that one scene with the giant creature that he talked to, and it wasn't long enough that I felt like he really accepted the king role. You know, like he did by the end, but I didn't feel that moment shift from I don't want to be king to I will be king. I didn't feel that as much. But yeah, I liked the movie overall quite a bit. I really like what they did with Black Manta. He was a lot of fun. I knew his story about Aquaman killing his father, and I thought that the way they handled it was a little forced, just a tad, but they made it well enough. You know, he's like, well, okay, you attack this sub. I got other people to save. I'm going to leave you to your own mess. You can save your father if you want, but I'm not going to do it. And I felt that they did that in a way that didn't make him seem like manipulative, like evil. Like, oh yes, watch your father die. It's, look, I have other people I need to save. I'm not saving you. You're the one that caused this mess and killed all these people. Save yourself. But it's still in a way that he is partly to blame, but it's really their fault. They shouldn't have been on that sub to begin with. And I thought it was stupid. It was like, okay, one sub attacks Atlantis, and then they all just get in on it. But then Mara made it pretty clear, too, when she asked her father about it, it's like, you want to go to war, don't you? You want to do this. And he's like, yeah, pretty much. And the last thing I have to say before we end off is that jellyfish dress. What was up with that? That was just strange. Could Aquaman talk to the dress? I am curious. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Overall, thumbs up for Aquaman. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was really fun and entertaining. Definitely recommend it. And I think that this might get people into Aquaman. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to the comics restructuring their entire comic book to look like Jason Momoa now because it's semi-popular. Because that's just what happens in comic books. A movie gets popular, well, now we need to make the comic book look like the movie so people think it's the same thing. Huh. Well, anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Lazy Dude. See ya. Be sure to check out some of these other videos on my channel. And wait for more coming soon.